Hello and good morning, welcome back. I'm making this video for a reading. Sorry, just organize things here. For reading, I did for someone who wanted reading for themselves about directions in their path. So, part of my hair. This reading was very insightful. There's a lot of things that I got through, and the client or the sitter in mediumship, they call it, was actually getting a lot of information that was helpful. It was very much very in-depth because I was referencing a lot of things that came through that were about their life, and it kind of showed through the asteroids and the detail that was coming through. I love that when it happens, it's this whole oh, I'm getting the information right. Not because I need to get it right or anything like that, but it was just going through, and it was just flowing. It started to flow a bit more near the end, kind of like there was a climax sort of portion to it, and the client actually was very satisfied with it. I I like it's funny how the word client comes through, but it's like that's usually what I know it to be. But could say sitter, sure, could use the word that. The person, the reader, and the readee. And it's very helpful because I got a lot of feedback. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. See what you get out of it. It's quite long, by the way, just to let you know, for those who are willing to go through it. And a lot of information about lots of asteroids. I think there's one asteroid that I haven't really read through in here. It's called Mullo. It's an asteroid named after the Celtic god Mullo. I forgot what he's about. Sometimes it's just when I get these downloads about these asteroids, there's so much to go through, and I don't remember everything. It's just a lot. So, anyways, hope you enjoy. Let me know what you think, and yeah, see you guys in a bit. Starting to record. All right, cool. So thank you for joining me in this, and thank you for letting me read for you.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up. Close that one actually. Open up the file. Where did I put that? Okay, here we go. Okay. So what I see here so far is just on this chart. Okay. So right now you're basically how you change is originally you were born with this energy that your body embodies it's very Jupiter. Again, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this before, but a lot of astrologers use terminologies. I'll try not to use them too much. um, but of course, so you do embody the Leo energy, but it's also Jupiter and Venus there. It's tied to your ascendant. So you already know kind of what that means. Like you have this expansive belief about shining and really growing, but family kind of got in the way of that, so to speak. That's what I'm seeing, right? But right now, what's happened is your Jupiter has actually progressed. It's still in the first house, or it's still, I wouldn't say it's in the first house, it's actually into Virgo now. So I think when it comes to your sense of like things that you want to do, you become a bit more analytical, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's okay. That's how we grow. Um, so you went from the child to the curious child to the analytical teenager, so to speak. That's kind of the energy. Um, but it's the progressed Jupiter is working with your what do you call this? Your retrograde Venus. So that means it's actually making the Venus thing because it's your Venus in retrograde here means that when you relate with others, I don't know when you were younger, maybe you probably tended to be as a young person tended to be quite like curious about so many things that you just went like, I want to touch this, I want to learn, I want to learn, I want to learn. But there were limitations with that one. That came with limitations. Your family was, it's kind of like, no. In fact, there was some sort of, I would say, possible abuse connected to that, or control, like this very control factor. A lot of it's tied to the mother. Um, and that's what I see here. But as you progress into that, the Jupiter here is expanding that and making it so that you are actually possibly, how do you call this one? It's making it so that your sense of self worth is actually kind of, you're growing from that. Your Jupiter here has actually gone to, you went into little details of your life and your experiences as a child. I don't know if you went into inner child healing. I feel like there's something to do with inner child. If not, you can probably go more into that and go into releasing all that stuff and deconditioning all that stuff, especially with Jupiter here progressed into your Venus. Um, the other thing I'm noticing is that your ascendant has now moved into Libra. So that means you've gone from typical childlike self into more like, in a way, you kind of opened yourself up to showing others how you can be like a very more of the other piece, the me and you kind of energy, right? So you're trying to balance things a bit now. Before it was more like, I'm very me, myself, I want to shine and I want to show this and I want to make this sort of, I want to make this right. I want to make this pure, so to speak. So, um, and then let me see if it's conjunct Mercury set. Yeah. So that means that you do you feel like you're more talkative now? You're more expressive of yourself? Not talkative. So you're more expressive of yourself? Because I feel like that's
Then,
before you're more expressive about how you relate with others. Like you kind of, you're starting to, you, I don't know, I guess you can say embody. I want to use the word embody to like harmony and balance and kind of get along with people is more of your thing
yes,
now. Okay, makes
yes.
sense. Yeah. Yeah. So you're ascended to that Venus. Okay, seeing here. But then in your spiritual life, what's happening is you're going through a lot of changes, right? You're shifting a lot of that stuff. Your Venus has now progressed into with Saturn and Uranus. So that means you're going into in Virgo, and it's in the anaretic degrees of Virgo. So often what that signifies is an importance in terms of your spiritual growth and going deeper into your the subconscious things that you didn't really actually look into before, but now you are looking into it. Let's see here. 12th house. So your inner strengths, weaknesses, things that you do on your own that helps you heal. So restorative solitude, quiet places, um, places where you probably need to reveal to yourself things that you are frustrated about, secrets that you probably need to reveal to yourself. Any sort of inhibitions now kind of like you're processing and really learning from those processes regarding specifically like your self-worth. Detox is also part of that one. um, Double check here. And also your nervous system. You're probably working with your nervous system, particularly tied to, what is this? 1 second here. I'm still new to medical astrology, so something tied to the, I think it's the endocrine system. I'll double check that. The immune system, sorry, the lymphatics, the immune system. Nervous system is still part of that, but more like the involuntary or sympathetic nervous system. Um, so you're working through that in yourself, I would say, or at least that's what you feel like doing. I don't know. Does this right? Would you understand this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and then actually working through right now, you're working through the wounding, specifically like uh, wounding that is tied to often tied to the subconscious, or rather, when I say subconscious, I don't necessarily mean like subconscious deep in that. When we see subconscious, it's not actually in the sub part of the brain. It is, but it's because it's older. Like, I don't know if you've heard of the lizard brain. Because of the lizard brain, because it's the oldest part of the brain, it makes sense that it's tied to more primordial, ancient, or even way back, sort of, millions of years ago, sort of understanding. It's very instinctive. Um, and it goes into actually out there. Because I don't know if that makes sense. Would you understand? It's like the subconscious is that it's connected to, this is why we're in, so this is where you get instinct and intuition. It's kind of like the same, but
Okay.
not really. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
but it says here that your Chiron is retrograde. Let me tell you. Was it retrograde before? Yeah, it was retrograde, but it's moved into the sixth house. So that means that and it's opposite of your Pluto, Venus, Uranus. And what that signifies for me. Also, Saturn is there too. So what's happening there is there's something about not only your immune system and your health has become sort of a focus for you, or your soul wants you to focus on that, but it's also tied to your what you do specifically with your spirituality. Or when I say spirituality, I don't necessarily mean like in spiritual circles or spirituality itself. I mean life itself is spiritual, right? So having more compassion and introspection with yourself. I don't know if you are doing anything sort of music, healing with art, anything artistic, magic, you name it, those kind of stuff. Like any sort of healing modality, and balancing that with detoxification of possibly also the liver. I wouldn't know if it's the liver or the pancreas or the lower area, the kidneys, because but it is more of the lymphatic system. Um, yeah, lymphatic system, pituitary gland, feet as well. Um, so I don't know if you, as right now, if you're having issues with, or do you have gout? Do you have any sort of like feet related issues that you kind of come across?
No,
No, not yet.
nothing new.
Okay, yeah, that's right.
No.
That makes sense. See, so these are progressions. So, sorry, I'm telling myself this. I just like every time I go into progression.
That's okay.
Yeah. So, but it's not that. It's more of not physical. It's less of a physical thing, but it's more of an energetic, emotional, psychological thing.
Okay.
Let's see here. And the Saturn there is also showing that there is more. Um, I guess right now you're probably looking more towards relationships or people that you meet, or agreements that you get into. It could be a contractual agreement. It could be an actual person. People you kind of are more aware. You're people that mirror themselves onto you. If you're familiar with shadow work, then they are themselves unique and will actually accept you for you. And that's part of your spiritual growth as well. So Saturn here is,
Yes.
it's in retrograde, so it means it's not limiting you to your relationship. In fact, it's kind of opening it up, but to a point where it's more like the necessary boundaries you need to take when it comes to new relationships. So you're going to new relationships. You've kind of always been doing that anyways, and it's specifically before it was with foreigners, right? But now your Saturn here is progressing. It's actually pulled back, so to speak, in the progression chart. Um, it should me to me that's tied to also because your progressed Saturn. Oh no, that's right. Your progressed Saturn is in the seventh house. So any sort of agreements you get into might be kind of challenging because your Moon and your Mars is in the fourth house in Capricorn. So any sort of home environment that any place that you consider your home, where you feel like you're really yourself, you are you probably experiencing challenges with that, especially specifically with senses of security, your sense of security. Your career is also that. Your core beliefs have changed as well. It used to be more about your when you're in your home environment. Typically, this is just your birth chart itself is going to be the stronger dominant energy, but the progression is showing me that you become more sort of, I guess you can say, you appreciate, I suppose you can say that, have you learned to appreciate more of like a solitary life, like being quiet and
Yes.
okay. Before it was a lot intense, right? There's a lot of intensity and transformation of pain, and it was like kind of thing. And yeah, okay. There's a, I don't know if there were things that you escaped to, whatever it was, any sort of dark stuff you escaped to, because of the issues you've had with family, specifically with your mother or the mother side or the motherly figures. Neptune here is it retrograde? No, yeah, it's conjunct Moon, Mars, trine your Mark Chiron, but it's square yourself. So didn't really know how to express yourself in the family environment, so you kind of just had to, in a way, hide yourself from them. You had to dim your light, so to speak. Um, and they, because there's a lot of, again, I guess your family environment, like your family growing up, were they quite idealistic? They're kind of very not only controlling, but there was a lot of manipulation, right?
One party,
Yeah,
yes.
but okay, okay. So, but it is showing me because it is in your fourth house, and you carry that ancestral power within you. You have ancestral power, like it's very primordial. It actually goes back way back. Um,
Hmm.
uh, what else is there? Definitely something to do with magic, at least. I'm not using asteroids right now. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I use asteroids a lot. It helps me cheat. Goes into the details of what I'm going to read. So in terms of where you're headed in life right now, that's what it's showing me. Let me see what the progressed nodes are showing me here, because that's usually what people consider life paths. Let's see. I know. Oh, this is what I noticed. You what I believe you got into um a full cycle of your life in terms of I think several times actually. I think it feels like it's you've gone through a full cycle in your life path. Like it's almost like you're like I've done a lot. I'm maybe I'm starting anew. Maybe I start. Are you? Do you feel like you're moving to a new chapter in your life?
Oh, definitely. Have been for a while.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So it's kind of back to where they were. Your south node in Libra, north node in Aries, in the anaretic degrees or the critical degrees, the last few degrees of those, which is. Let me double check this one. Sorry. Aries, so right now, okay. Right now, because it's gone full circle, it's almost like you're going into this path of I'm going to start anew, probably looking to travel. Do you feel like you're being pulled more to travel, or at least move, or at least try something like that, something similar?
Yes, travel.
Okay, cool. And I feel like it's tied to Jupiter. Okay, foreign business, something like traveling, but it's also something to do with like working on like going into a business somehow, and going and kind of looking into the details of what that means for you, or at least working with someone. It feels because your North Node here is progressed into the seventh house, so that means that there's something to do with it has something to do with going to a business with someone or
Okay.
partnership or someone who's probably like there's an analytical side to this, and there's a flow between your south node north node progressed with your progressed Jupiter, and it's all there. It's showing me that it's like oh okay, so this might be a big opportunity to go into let's see hold on Jupiter is going to go this way. Okay, or have you been doing that? Have you been
No,
kind
I
of
have not been.
okay?
No, I'm not sure what direction to go.
Oh, okay, you weren't sure. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Um, well, it depends because right now your sun has progressed into you were Libra. I mean, so you're Virgo. So you it progressed into yes Libra and then progressed now into Scorpio. So you tend to you're most likely going to take your career and vocation seriously now because I'm seeing it in your progress chart here. You're taking your career path and your vocation serious. Like your what the better word for that is your mission. Mercury here is retrograde. It's tied to the midheaven, so it's showing me that it's tied to writing tied to, again, something about writing with working with, because it's often stereotyped with Scorpio, the dead, and because we were doing mediumship stuff. But I feel like it's more than that. Um, okay, so it's something to do with the wounding. We have Chiron here. I feel like it's something to do with your mission. There's a lot of stuff pointing at your mission right here. It's a lot to do with family, ancestral wounding, ancestral limitations, with the nervous system, and also writing. Would that make
Okay.
sense? Do you feel a pull? Have you?
Mm,
No?
no,
No? Okay.
I
Well,
don't. But you're not the first one to tell me that my writing is going to progress into my next
hmm.
step in life. But I don't feel that yet. I'm just kind of waiting. I'm in a liminal state.
Okay. Can I ask why you feel like you're waiting? Why would.
Because there are no opportunities that have presented themselves that I'm drawn to, I
Oh,
guess.
drawn to. Okay, rather. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because you do, your core beliefs are very much that Scorpio energy. You want things to be intense. You want it to be, a specific type of energy. You want it to be, what's the word? Cathartic, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but what happens with that is that I believe that when you, as you were, as you progress into life, a lot of the jobs that you probably got into were quite like, very mundane, practical, maybe something to do with farming, building things, pleasurable things. It could be art, could be music, it could be kind of more very mundane, earthly things. But your core beliefs have wanted much more than that. You believe in something that is, you want it to be more meaningful. You want it to be really like beyond death kind of thing, right? And you mean your moon and you have all these three planets. You have a stellium in Scorpio. Stellium just means three or more planets. Um,
Mhm.
so very idealistic, right? So you wanting there's a caveat to that when you want things to be perfect. Idealism and perfection are basically two sides of the same coin. Um, so how that could work for you is maybe not necessarily idealistic in terms of what it has to look like, but just to focus on the energy. Because now you're being more practical. Your core beliefs are now shifted into something that's okay. If I can make use of this one, if I can actually work, so it's towards Capricorn, and Capricorn often represents discipline. I had I've had written for myself kind of like what I call like 10 commandments, okay, rather than commandments. So it's not an imposition on myself. It's something that I want to do. So
Mhm.
one of them is basically turning, uh, when it comes to inspiration or something like that. It's devotion works hand in hand with discipline. And discipline isn't something that it's real discipline doesn't come from an imposition at all. Discipline is because it comes from the heart. Where do you want to do? Where do you want to go? With your ascendant in Leo and Jupiter there, you still have the potential. If there's anything blocking you from moving forward because of some sort of ancestral thing or your family ties or anything in the past, go into the memory of that. Go into the subconscious and go into like why that was. I don't know if you've done shadow work. Have you?
Yeah, I have a lot. I'm still, it's ongoing.
Okay. Yes. Yes. So I would say, as Teal Swan just posted a video on this one, and she talks about shadow work. She didn't say it this way. Well, I don't know what she said because I haven't seen the video. But the title was, the reason your shadow work isn't working, or you as in anyone, is because it has to be followed by action. Right. So, like for me, for example, my fears behind security has been, I've been getting these nudges, and because I know that I asked for it, that if I'm afraid, for example, of post-pandemic stuff, bacteria, getting diseases, getting infected, yada yada yada, for me that's a very strong thing, and it was one of my fears. I love how I said was there. So now it's
Mhm.
more like, you know what, I'm just gonna take a risk. and this is where that's why now love has come into my life again, and so it's become more like I have more purpose. But that has been more of like a reminder, a mirror to myself that it's like, okay, I know what I can. I know what I can do. Even if I die tomorrow, I'm gonna make the best out of my stuff. What I do right now. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I ask those questions. Like when I ask you, I want to put quality into my work. Right? There's that whole, it's devotion with the discipline. Um,
Right.
so yeah, I'm not saying you're not doing the work. I'm not implying anything at all. Okay, I'm just saying. Um, I think you, I think to trust yourself more than you've trusted yourself. So a little, I guess you can go beyond that, but not necessarily in terms of idealistic trusting yourself, if that makes sense. Um,
It does.
okay, because you're your moon in Scorpio. I know moon in Scorpio. It's very. I know the Scorpio energy. It's very private. It's very, like it just. I mean, even when I do readings for people who are Scorpio, especially if they're moon in Scorpio, there's a sort of like there's a pullback because it's like, oh, it's prying into my, where's my secrets? Because it lies with power. That is the motto of Scorpio. But where does power come from? What is power in the first place? Because power is a desire to make sure it's stable, right? Make sure that it's known. Make sure that what's ahead of you is actually secure. That there's trust behind it. But as Bashar would put it, he says there is no such thing as lack. There's only abundance. When we trust in the lack, there's going to be abundance. That's the way this universe works, or at least the universe or source. That when we put whatever we put our energy into, you've heard this before in different words, in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's do you trust? Wait, so you know what I mean? So yeah. So anyways,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I'm tying this to what I'm reading. That's all I'm doing. Um, let's see here. So it has a lot to do with that. Now let's go into the progression. Okay, let's see what I get here with the asteroids. Ooh, lots of stuff. Okay. Start with. I'm gonna start with the nodes actually. Where did I go? The nodes. Okay. Okay. Here we go. So you're progressed. Am I doing that right? Progressed. Okay. Progress. North node is in the seventh house. I believe that. Yeah, that's right. It's in, yes, it's in Aries, but I have here the asteroids Typhon and Sedna, and also Mean Lilith. So what this often signifies is because it's actually tied to the eighth house here. It means that, and it's technically going into both Aries and Taurus. Don't mind that terminology. Um,
It's okay.
okay, I think maybe you know. Okay, never mind. It's a lot to do with rage and the inner rage that you probably are being called to and really letting it go. Even if you have doubts about that, because Sedna is about absolute release. Sedna is the furthest planet we've discovered in astrology or in astronomy, and Sedna represents that. Let me pull it up here. Let me go specific on Sedna. Come on, give me Sedna. Okay, so she's about evolution awareness. She was the Inuit goddess of the sea. The story behind her is that she had family responsibilities, and she was basically, I guess you can say, lured or enticed by this foreigner, this stranger, this guy, who was actually ended up being, I think it was a crow or a raven or something like that. But
Mhm.
when her father tried to take her away from him, try to prevent her from leaving, because she took a boat, and then she kind of tried to escape responsibility. She was like, I want this other life. The father kind of just tried to stop her from doing that, but then this raven or this creature threw, I guess you could say, winds at him or the boat, and try to kind of shake the boat. but then she fell
Mhm.
off the boat, but she tried to grab on, but the father ended up being so scared of for his life that he chopped off her fingers, and then she ended up
Oh, jeeps.
sinking into the oceans and later becoming the all the creatures that there is in the oceans. So that's
Okay.
so she represents that whole like she's a higher vibration of Ceres, which is a high vibration of the moon, and it's all about basic needs. It's all about needs. It's all about cycles. It's all about moods and motherhood and that primordial mother energy. So she's about releasing absolutely just knowing that it's like that's okay. My needs come not only from within, but I can make use of the needs without. So you know what I mean? Like for example, imagine this, and it's gonna be a little. I think you can channel. I think you can take this. Um, the whole, let's say, if your fingers were cut, what would you do with that? Would you end up just like, okay, yes, I'm gonna go vengeful on that person who cut my fingers, or you can say, well, I lost my fingers. What am I gonna do with it? Right. So it's about the idea of abundance or scarcity. Again, tying to
Uh-huh.
what we just talked about. So Sedna here is a huge part of this. She's beyond survival. She's beyond transgressions, taboos, those kind of things that are very, very Scorpio. You're right now. Your North Node, Typhon, Sedna, Mean Lilith placements are in affecting the eighth house here. So it's progressed into the eighth house. That means a lot of it is trust. A lot of it trust. Where do you put your trust in? Um, on a more practical level, because now your nadir is in Capricorn, something more practical, something more hands-on, is um, something about. Let's see here. Are you have you ever been interested? I don't know. I don't know. Do you feel like pulled to work greatly with like governments or some sort of system, or maybe what is this one? Going out more into nature, but actually making that in sort of terms of like your path. There's something to do with nature, ecosystems, um, making into part of like healing itself. It also could be tied to Native American, um, I guess you can say, that kind of environment with animals as well.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Environmentalism, not necessarily like. Sorry, I'm hearing knocking. So yeah, environmentalism. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was the first question working with governments. I used to do that, so
Oh, okay, okay,
I have no interest to do that anymore.
okay. No,
But
that's fine. That's
um,
fine.
I moved to be in nature, and I find a lot of healing in nature around me. And I lived in the Appalachians, where there's a lot of Native American
There you go.
history and spirit.
Okay,
So
okay.
that all resonates.
Okay. So you probably see a lot of whales, seals, polar bears, caribou, reindeer,
No,
bears.
I'm
Okay, that's cool.
no, I'm in the Appalachians. I'm in the like North Carolina.
Oh, Appalachia. Okay, okay, okay. Good.
Yeah.
I don't know which First Nations nation that is. I'm Canadian, so we have Cree here. I guess you have Cree
It's
there too, right?
mostly Cherokee.
Cherokee. Okay.
There are some others. Yeah.
Okay, Cherokee's nice. Aren't they the? Oh, that's Mohawk. I'm thinking of the one with the huge feathers. The nation
I'm
that
not,
wears huge feathers. This something like that.
yeah, not sure.
Okay, never mind. Also working with oceans, working the water. I wouldn't say necessarily working. This isn't about working. This is because it's tied to the eighth house. It's more about where you're transforming yourself. So here you're being
Hmm.
called to transform yourself. A little bit about what your relationship with the things you come across or people you meet. Um, but it is more about transformations. And because it is the eighth house, I'm gonna go into the eighth house. This is more about. Let me double check here. I just want to be specific. I know what the eighth house is. So, like your legacy, any sort of legacy you want to leave behind, support from other people, especially whether it's financial, moral, spiritual, physical. Okay. Any sort of like, oh, the occult. Okay, that's one. That's one thing, of course. I don't know if you've ever gotten into that or feel called to that. That still ties in with your Moon and Scorpio placement with your Neptune Mars. Um, a cult doesn't necessarily mean being a cult itself. Like you can do it your own. You could do it on your own. You could, I don't know. I don't know. We talked about the magic thing, right? Have you?
Hmm.
I'm just wondering. Hold on. Seda is not about magic, but technically there is still magic there. But something to do also with mythology. She's also tied to mythologies. Um, yeah, again, so being out in nature, being close to the ocean, I think is that's I think you're on the right path. Let me look at Typhon. Sorry, my bad. Mm, okay, here we go. Okay, again, a lot to do with working with fury, wrath, okay, self worth, those kind of things. Anything that's also probably underneath anything else and underneath all that stuff. But because it's in Aries, it's more about dissolving that. It's in the critical degrees or honoric degrees of Aries. It's actually, for those who are watching this, like for my channel, for the sake of my channel, it's in the Duad of Pisces. So that means Pisces often represents release, disillusion, letting go, release, forgiveness, those kind of things, and really, and you already know this. You probably heard this many times. You don't forgive others. It's more about yourself, right?
Hmm.
Um, Going through a lot of challenges as well, things that are probably outrageous. So you're learning to really let those go and transfigurations, transformations. Let's look at it more from a practical point of view. So you like being high up in the mountains now, do you? Do you like being high up in the mountains?
Yes.
Okay. Not
Yeah.
with water. Interesting. Okay. Interesting. Maybe before. Um, Something to do with I don't know if you're in burials. Something to do with caves, burials. I don't know. I'm seeing here burials, burying, cenotaphs, underground, subterranean locations as well. Being on an island. But you said you preferred that, high up in the mountains. But okay.
Yeah. I moved here from Galveston Island.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's see here. So
No, it's
wild animals is coming back. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
I was just saying that Galveston is, as it goes to the water there, the ocean,
Okay.
the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, whatever it's called,
Okay.
whatever people are calling it these days.
Yeah, that's fine. Um, do you also start? Are you starting to work more with younger children as well? Do you have a lot of You have a lot of offspring, so like children, then grandchildren, grandchildren. I don't
No,
know. Whatever.
no, I don't.
No, no, that's okay. No, again, I'm just again. So as Pam Gregory puts it, astrology is a language of probability. So whatever I state here, it doesn't necessarily apply to you. I'm just gonna mention them. I think what I
Yeah,
feel
no problem.
applies. Okay, music. Have you been going into music specifically with strings or pipes?
Yes, I've been listening to Native American music,
Okay, okay, cool. Because it's
flutes,
mm,
mostly.
okay. That's okay. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's see. Do you feel like um, there's something about successions or not necessarily like, this may not be literal, but dethroning or overthrowing some kind of things. It could just be like you're overthrowing something, not necessarily overthrowing someone in a leadership position or authority figure, but it could be more like symbolic, if that makes sense.
I'd have to think about it. I'm not sure how that applies right now.
That's okay. That's okay. Um, oh, have you? I definitely feel like it is tied. Oh, serpents. Okay, have you been working a lot with dragons or serpents or snakes?
No.
No. Okay. that could be symbolic too, because these are transformational. They represent transformation, especially dragons. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Um, and dragons are they tend to be what do you call this? I believe they're somehow because they're so high up there. They've been some
Mhm.
of them have been. I'm not sure about this one, but I think they've been associated with archangels. I'm not sure.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on that. I'm just saying. It's
Okay.
that's all. Okay. Um, oh, there's another one here. Something to do with prisons and prisoners. For those who have gone through a lot of woundings, a lot of pain and like resistance, because anger is a cover-up emotion. What's beneath it
Yes.
is what's important. So, have you ever thought about working with people who've been not necessarily in prison, but who've been wrongfully accused? This kind of stuff.
No.
Okay.
I come from law enforcement background. That was the
Ah.
government
Okay.
thing.
Okay. Okay.
So
That's right.
I
Okay.
don't, it's not that I don't have empathy, but I think when someone gets to a certain point, I assume they're guilty, and that's horrible of me. And as I evolve, hopefully I will let that go. But it is a deep set belief just because of my background right now.
Yes, that makes sense.
So
Yep. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I'm at least admitting that it's not a valid belief.
Okay. That's fine. That's
Something
okay.
it's something to work on. It's
That's
shadow work.
that's okay. Yeah. You didn't by any chance. Let me double check here. Go back to your other chart. Looking at your nose. No. Okay. No. There's. I don't think that's possible. Uh, there's something about learning tenderness, right? Learning that it's okay to have um, any form of earthly love or things that might feel chaotic or sort of unsettling, the ups and downs of emotions, erratic behaviors, erratic experiences, volatility, those kind of stuff, but still sticking through it, like literally like tough love, let's call it that, right?
Yes.
Um, because I feel like there's something there. There's a lot of challenges with that. Um, Shadow work that's already given here. I see here. Oh, I see this other asteroid. 1 second here. Come on. Oh, I did not do that one. Then. Let's try this one. Second. Yeah. Again, back to the healing stuff. The timeliness of healing. I suppose. I think mixing in. It's really integration. Again, going back to the whole shadow work thing. It's mixing the old with the new, or rather, mixing what seems something that we don't really want to, something that we kind of escape from. I don't think that's an issue with you, but at the same time, there can be something deeper than that. Um,
Mhm.
let's see here. Were you were you into horse riding when you were young?
No. I mean, I've ridden horses, but not. It wasn't a thing for me.
Was it a thing? Okay, let me double check what that is. Um, oh, that's interesting. What? Hmm. Do you feel like is there? I'm just curious about that because you said you're up in the mountains. So I'm like thinking there's something about that. Something about horses. Maybe not necessarily horses per se, like riding them, but more like. Have you heard of like people? now there's certain people in the world now that use horses or animals for healing.
Yes, there are actually quite a few um,
Okay.
horse therapy
Yeah.
equestrian places. Like there's actually one only about a half a mile from me.
Oh, okay. There you go. So there you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's several of them around here.
Okay. Um, healing the wounded. It's so shows showing me here. So by healing the wounded, you get to also heal yourself, right? Um, there's something about, again, it doesn't necessarily mean like it has to be this actual place, but like hospitals, infirmaries, but you don't have to necessarily do that. But there's something about that. Again, a place of healing.
Okay.
So again, sort of mending the wounds, but I wouldn't say mending as in fixing. But I don't know if you've heard of this, but they have this philosophy in Japan where if it's something broken, they don't try to fix the broken. They they use it and they go, okay, well, it's broken. Let's show the cracks. Let's not hide the cracks. So it kind of tied to that energy, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I get
Okay.
that.
Okay. Um, but with your gifts of being, um, again, what do you call it? Kind of like a diplomatic feel to that. Um, I think you really know how to work with. Let me double check here. Is that oh, you've been learning. Oh, don't mind that sound. They're just upstairs. Don't worry. It's
Okay.
part of my.
Okay.
This is part of my journey where I always come across unpredictability. This is why I'm so used to unpredictability. I'm astrologically speaking, I have Uranus in my fourth house with my Mercury, and Chiron is opposite of that, and that often just means it's yeah. I have to integrate the unexpectedness of
Ugh.
stuff like this. But right now, it's more
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, yeah, it's I know. So it, it's
Well, you handle it very well.
yeah. Was that shocking for you? I'm sorry. It's
No, not at all. I mean, I heard it. I just didn't know
yeah. It's just
if you had an airplane crashing into the house or what was happening.
it's renters upstairs. But yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They're always dropping things, and I don't know what it is. What's this? Okay, so in a past life. Oh, you were you a drummer when you were young? Were you interested anything rhythmic?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You're very creative though, right? You have a lot of creative power. That comes from your past life. At least let me double check if there's a square there. Yes, there is. So perhaps you didn't get to explore that, but in past lives, I'm seeing here that it's there. At least with your progress south node in Libra, it's showing you to tap into your creative past. Right before it was your past is more about you know how to be diplomatic with people. You have this natural flair for, especially when you work on it, you can you can actually settle things down. You have that ability. It's very Libra. It's very it's not just peace loving, but you just know how to be diplomatic. You know how to lead. Um, and even if you didn't recognize that, I think right now your soul wants you to recognize that, to go into that renewal part of yourself, that where it's more about abundance. It's in core right now. It's conjunct your south node in Libra, so it means it's like being open to potential beyond the potential, beyond opportunity. It's like complete trust. It's again, it's really tying back into Sedna, tying back into what we talked about earlier, and going back into um, also going into what the ego is. It's tied to. It's not really tied per se to Libra per se. It is tied to Aries, because Aries can be also about ego as well. Fire signs are usually about ego, but ego is not a bad thing per se, right? Because as Bashar puts it,
Right.
he says it's like goggles, right? So I call, I guess what I would refer to is the unhealthy ego, the one that is in denial of the separation, the fragmentation,
Hmm.
right? In order for something to be to grow, it has to be broken.
Sure.
Otherwise, how are you going to expand it? Right? You fill in
Sure.
the spaces exactly. So yeah, I'm just trying to connect your south node right now, your progress south node with your north node. Ayahuasca. Have you ever done ayahuasca?
No, but I've been looking at retreats
Okay.
recently.
Okay. So there's something about healing, something to do with that, but something to do with singing, dancing as well, but using dance as a form of healing as well. So
I can understand that.
yeah, um, I'm wondering if you heard about what's her name, Mia Magic.
No,
Okay, look her up.
I'll write that down.
She's what people might call a modern witch. But it's not about the rituals for her. It's about the symbolism, using the energy of the symbolism to manifest. Not only it's not really about manifestation per se, but it is about believing. Because when you use the physical form matter into something like rituals, that's what rituals are. It it helps us manifest something more, like putting it into action. Right? Can't just believe and have
Okay.
affirmations and all that stuff. We have to understand that it's like no, you have to put an action to it. You have to complete it with every right idea, thought, emotion, belief, action.
Mm-hmm.
So right, and I think you already get this. So again, going through that stuff, but also working with again with your creative side. You're being called to be more creative. When I say creative, doesn't necessarily mean something creative like drawing or art or dancing. Creation itself, right? Your inner Big Bang, let's call it that. You can be a galaxy itself. You you are we are the universe itself. You just have to trust that. Um, so Mia Magic also has rituals where she talks about having a sort of a ritualistic orgasm, which it in a way ties in with. She also talks about the witch wound. So using the primordial power as a sexual power, and it doesn't just apply to women; it applies to anyone, right? That primordial power. I call it primordial sovereignty, um, because it's like I don't know if you've heard of this, but like um, in quantum physics, they talk about the quantum vacuum, which is apparently
Mm-hmm.
where atoms form.
Right.
So if you think about that, you are part of that primordial darkness. That darkness is what's going to. Darkness is really just a form of processing, right? As Pushar puts it, this universe or the universe is he. I don't use the word positive or negative. I use the word expansive and constrictive. The reason we have the negative or constrictive energy is so that we can process. But the choice that we make is in the third part of the so-called duality. It's actually triplicity, he calls it. It's the neutral part where we get to make a choice. We get to decide like, what are we going to do, right? So that's kind of that creative energy, right? So that's why they always say like be careful watching, when you're playing around with a Ouija board or when you're playing around with dark energies or whatever it is, you have to be careful because that's not something you play around with. It's there to test you. It's there to question your beliefs. It's there to see, are you sure you want that? Are you sure you want? That's why we sometimes resist that because we've been so conditioned to be like, everything's all Disney and la di da and blah blah blah, all that stuff, and that's okay to have beautiful things. It's okay to have that, but it's also okay to have the darkness, so that we learn from it rather than, oh, I'm so dark, I'm going to murder, can maim people. No, like no, it's that it has a reason for that because we're supposed to expand. The universe is expanding. So um, again, so your creative side, right? The spirituality thing is all there already. It's showing me, of course, latent abilities. So that means that you probably got into your mediumship stuff or psychic stuff in any of these things later in your life, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But it is comes with cycles, so new beginnings, new life. So and that's okay. It's never too late. Um, magnetism. So gravity. Let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have with No, uh, vocation. Okay. So music, shamanism, priest, orator, a dance instructor. You don't necessarily have to be a performer. Psychic healer, some kind of coach, definitely, or therapy. Some sort of. I think it's it's tied to that. There's something about therapy. There's something about helping others. Maybe as a coach, you're guiding them, especially with your, especially with your now. What do you call this? You're deer in Capricorn. Well, a lot of placements in Capricorn. That's kind of being a kind of a teacher for others. Maybe not necessarily directly teacher, but more like guiding others. Because it is in Aries, this placement also in Taurus, it means that you're here more to focus on yourself. But in this case, not necessarily self, more like I'm here to I'm here to be curious about what I want to do and get into it. And actually, it also means that because it's in Aries, that your your soul wants you to delve into many things. Even if you don't finish them, you can go back to the other one that you felt inspired to go into. So if you feel
Yeah,
like,
I feel that.
okay, so there you go. Right. So yeah. So experiment, have fun. As a line from one of my favorite movies, Under the Tuscan Sun, the line is, "Live spherically." Mm.
Yeah, I have a lot of interests that I never finish, and then my Virgo self beats myself up because I don't finish them. Look
Yeah,
at my Virgo energy. It's crazy.
I know.
It's I drive myself nuts.
Yeah, it's okay. And you get very analytical in your head. I can see that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that affects your nervous system.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and your immune system
Yeah. I've
actually too. So,
I've learned to put that perfection and criticism aside for the most part, but it still sneaks in there.
I want to ask you a question regarding that. What do you find is the gold nugget or the gift behind that pedanticalness of Virgo? What is the gift behind that? How can you reword that? So instead of calling it pedantic, there's something else out of that you can suck out of it and be like, oh, there's the gift. What could that be?
I have good discernment.
Mm-hmm.
I can just change the criticism word to discernment.
Exactly.
Uh, I have high standards, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing,
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Because you know what you want for yourself. Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. There you go. In fact, see, this is the beautiful thing. You have your, what is this one? In your progress chart right now, your sun and your moon are in sextile aspect to each other. To me, what that means is that when you align your needs and your wants together, what inspires you from the heart with what helps you feel like you be yourself, you, I guess you could say, in astrology we call it the spirit and the soul. But really, what it is one's more external self and the other one's more internal self. When you combine the two together and you allow for those two to work together, I know that still sounds vague. When that happens, it comes out naturally. So,
Mm,
your deep desire for wanting to things to be cathartic now, it's more towards catharsis with your needs for a sense of feeling like accomplished in some certain things. Because accomplishment doesn't necessarily mean it has to be done like a big project kind of thing, right? No, it could be little things. Waking up is an accomplishment. Breathing is an accomplishment. Saying a word is an accomplishment. It comes in many forms. Right? That kind
yeah,
of stuff. It'll come naturally, and you'll start to go like, ah, oh, okay, right. So tap into that inner magic, that primordial magic, that primordial sovereignty, as I call it. So yeah, um, and it's okay to have so-called weak points, right? When you say you have weak points, it doesn't necessarily mean weak. It just means resting. It means that I'm not there to do that one. As Bashar puts it, if you didn't get to do this thing in one day, in whatever or within the hour. It's like, it wasn't meant to be. Meaning, not necessarily because it's a destined or non-destined thing, but rather it's your soul just didn't want to do it. It's not in your part of your highest excitement in the moment. So you
That
always
makes sense.
follow your highest excitement in the moment. People often, when they hear Bashar talk and they say highest excitement, it's like, oh, you mean like path? Oh, you mean like goals? Yes and no, right? So yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Um, have you ever thought of also doing a lot more research into things? Like when you do research, you can be quite tenacious with that, right? You have your moon in Scorpio, but right now your south node is in Core, Ixion, Achilles, and also Mercury. Oh, also Pele. So using the anger sort of energy of Scorpio. I don't know if you know this, by the way. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. um, so Scorpio has three stages. That's what they say. It's symbolic. It's analogous, but Scorpio is a scorpion, right? But then, when you rise above that, it's a scorpion is very defensive. It's very alert. That energy, right? Um, it's also defensive. It's like very reactive. The higher vibration of that is the eagle. The eagle knows when to soar. It goes like, okay, I know what I'm going to catch. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go straight into it, and I'm going to go right. But then there's the third stage of that, or so-called stage, quote unquote stage, which is the phoenix, which is rising above. Yes, the ashes. People have heard it so many times, but people who are not familiar with that energy of rebirth is you have to go past the walls, right? You have to really trust and go past walls. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir anyway, so I'm not going to go too much into it. So there's three stages of Scorpio. So this whole Achilles thing shows me that there's more to weakness. There's more to, oh, I've done something bad. Okay, I did this, I did. Who cares? Okay. Again, we already talked about that. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go into, come on, Ixion. Here your south node is because it's tied to Ixion here, which is a centaur. He was the father of the centaurs. He wasn't actually a centaur. He was human. So he was about violations and all that stuff. But this could also mean that you learn empathy. You learn that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to make huge mistakes. Right? It's not just like little mini teensy weensy mistakes. No. Um, you can use manipulation as a way to manipulation doesn't necessarily mean manipulation. It could be like, oh, I'm just going around it,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Like this one line or one episode from Star Trek Voyager. They were saying, it's like the Borg there, the resident Borg, she became no longer Borg, but she is human again, and she cheated and won this one little game they had. It's like, oh wait, that's cheating. But why is cheating bad? Why do we label good and bad? Right? It's like, well, cheating means to take a shortcut. But when do we take shortcuts in the first place? I mean, we have a bed. Isn't that a shortcut to something else? Having these cheat sheets, isn't that a shortcut? Um, what do you call this? Getting water, getting oxygen from water, isn't that a shortcut to breathing, going out there in nature? So many shortcuts in life, we forget. It's like, oh, there's a shortcut. Oh, that was a shortcut. Oh, that was a shortcut. Who cares? Take the shortcut. So manipulation, shortcut, similar energy, right?
Yeah.
Um, what else am I seeing here? Something about also hospitality. There's something about hospitality with yeah, like hotel, not necessarily hotel, but like I could tie it in with the therapy stuff. Maybe have a place. I don't know.
I
Again,
just
sorry.
I after law enforcement, I opened a bed and breakfast. So
Oh, okay.
you're hitting on my past there. But I
Okay.
do still have a heart. I still have a heart for hospitality, just not in quite so intimate of a setting.
Sure. That's fine.
So yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
I would consider going back to that
Okay,
for
there you
sure.
go. There you go.
Very
Let's.
good.
You're welcome. Um, when I do these, I do this research. I've done a lot of research with asteroids, and this is where I get to shine in this video, uh, where I've done so much research on over 180 asteroids,
Wow.
and there's so much in detail that it's crazy. It's 800 something, 835 pages now. It's single spaced,
Wow.
and I get that obsessive. I am very Plutonian. I might as well be Scorpio. Um, yeah, I know. It's weird. But what I'm saying here is that um, what was my point with that one? With the whole oh, though because we're talking about the whole um, if it's in your heart. Okay, so even if it's not intimate in terms of like what we do, whether it's something we. So what was my point there? Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No.
Sometimes this happens. So you were saying that you did it's your heart is still in that whole hostile stuff or like some sort of accommodation, that kind of stuff. There's always of course an option behind that, right? Like it doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily have to be an actual hostel itself. You can hire other people. You can work with other people who do that physically, and you just kind of manage it. Um, or doesn't have to be an actual hostel itself. It could be something. Do you get what I'm saying? Like it could be something symbolic. It could be again hosting. That's the idea of hosting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hosting something. Um.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Have you ever? Do you have your own circle of anything?
No.
No. Okay. That's an idea. I don't know because you're hosting.
Yeah, it is. I think it's the field is kind of inundated with mediumship circles, and I'd
Ah.
rather just go and practice instead of having to host. That's not
Because
my
you want,
thing.
yeah, that makes sense. 'Cause you want to action. Okay, got it. That makes sense
Yeah.
because the North Node in Aries is showing that it's like more like you want to go into it rather than be of service to others. In the past, it's more like that, but now it's more like how do you relate with others? So there's that you've been called to conquer. That is the
Yeah.
Aries energy, right? So that's totally fine, and that's how it is. Two-edged sword. Something about the past about anointment ceremonies, substance impurities, diluted liquids, burns and scars, board games, thing to do with risks and gambling. Not sure that applies right now. Let's see here.
Hmm.
Because it's in the second house. Hold on. Second here. I go into the one second evolution vocational. So you were? Did you say your family was also military? No,
No.
government. Just okay, got it.
Excuse me.
Oh, grief counseling. Oh, there you go. Okay.
Well, how funny that you should mention that.
Hmm.
I have a grief counseling page on Facebook, and I'm certified for counseling, but I have not actively engaged nor marketed myself for it. So
It's okay.
um, it was something that I was interested in doing, and maybe doing some intuitive or mediumship readings during the counseling.
Yeah,
And I just kind of fell away from it. I've lost my mojo in the last probably since COVID. I've just lost my motivation
I
to
understand. Yeah.
find what what is supposed to be happening. And I get these tiny little breadcrumbs, and I start down that path, and I go, I don't fit. I have no motivation. It's horrible.
What if motivation? What if this so-called lack of motivation just means that you're supposed to rest longer?
I've been resting since I sold my business 7 years ago.
Okay. Could it
I need something.
could it be that that's also part of the process? How about when you share with others that resting is a part of the process? Don't necessarily have to look for what's out there, but go what's inside here.
I'm kind of tired of just myself. I
Okay.
make jokes about it, but it's like I just I'm 58.
Okay.
So having not worked, and I'm blessed because I can live in a way that can live under my means, so I'm okay to not work, but I need some purpose, some fulfillment, some I need something. I don't really like structure. I like to travel. I like to take
Mm-hmm.
risks. I don't want to be obligated. I don't. So I'm just a swirly mess of I don't know what in the world I want right now.
Let's go into a bit of some. I know. Let's go into a bit of something that I've been going through myself, where I work through, what is this? Working through specific beliefs, right? Because it comes down to
Okay.
beliefs as well. There's this thing I saw that I was working on, and it was basically, let's just call it, "What is it that you want?" I don't know. It's by Teal
Okay.
Swan, and basically she says, "What is it that the thing that I want to have?" And then ask yourself, you literally go to, do you face the actual, and I'm sure you're going to do this, you face the limiting belief you have about that. What is preventing you from that? So, for example, why am I, so what is it that I want? So, for example, um, what did I have? For example, what, because for me, let me share this with you. I live in this house. It's not actually my house, it's my parents' house. And this is where it gets a little bit vulnerable. And to me, to be honest with you, I don't care anymore. I'm because this is being recorded. Um, and they moved out because they wanted to help my sister. And then I was just like, okay, so da da da. I felt back then I was like, oh, you're leaving me again, kind of thing. That's a whole childhood
Right.
thing for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's like, so there have been times where I felt kind of stuck here. So I was just like wondering, what is it that I really want to do? Well, now I found love, and I want to move to Europe. But I was like, but then why? What is that? What is that? I really want to move here. I want to go. I want to go meet him. And he's, we connect so much on an energetic level, and we
Hmm.
have disagreements here and there. But and he does his own thing. I do my own thing. And but the next question is, why am I able? Why am I not able to have that? I literally write it down and go, oh, because I have all these excuses or limiting beliefs that it's like, oh, because I don't have a high paying job. I don't actually have a high paying job, right? Um, I earn about 200 something a month. It's so low. Um, and then I was like, okay, but then I look into the beliefs like in terms like why am I able to have that? So my first belief is because I don't have a high paying job. And then the next question, the next part would be if I were to maintain this belief to preserve my idea of someone or my view of someone, who would that someone be?
Mm.
So my belief was that, oh, I can't because I'm stuck. So this belief that I'm stuck, I'm not able to go anywhere. Or rather, okay, so let's go to my first belief. I don't have a high paying job. So if I believe that I'm not getting paid high enough for this, where does that come from? So, oh, doesn't I feel that that comes from society itself, but mainly going back to my roots, my parents, or actually my ancestry, right? So how would this belief manage to do that? How would this belief manage to preserve my view of them? I think I came up with because you get what I'm saying. So it's yeah. I don't want to make it
Yeah.
about myself, but it's and then what I
I'm
will go
interested.
and then what I want to go into is then the next part. Teal Swan says, come up with alternative evidence that and proof to destroy the belief that that what that belief was. And I was like, well, I don't have a high paying job. More like, I don't have a high paying job right now, but I have had it before. I've gotten paid really well before, right? I have support from the government. I live in Canada. We have a social system here. So I'm like, what's the hurry? I have my parents. They're doing the best they can, the way they know how. So there you go. I'm finding the nuggets again there. So it's like, okay, so how's that? And those kind of things, like, am I stuck? Like, why am I why am I stuck? Okay, why do I even believe that? Where does that come from? Who does that preserve? Who's my view of? Okay, like, I couldn't think of one right now. But the point is that, and then I changed it. And I was just like, well, am I really stuck? No, because I can walk. I can go wherever I want to. I'm not really physically stuck. I'm not. That's
Right.
just a belief in my head. And I look at evidence. Like, I've gone to many places before. I've traveled before. So if I can do that, I can do it again. What supports that even more is that I have a tenacious personality. So I can use that tenacity to build more skills, get in touch with more people, put my put my foot down in terms of what I want. So that kind of ties in with what you have, right? So, and you
Hmm.
go into these beliefs and you write down evidence to support that. Um, I'll send you the link to the video, um, but she has one. Hopefully, remind me if I forget. I'm sorry, but
Okay.
yeah. So, anyways, so there's that. Yeah. Does that make sense? I hope that kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
Yes.
it does. It
Yeah.
does. Yeah.
Um, there's other stuff with Aries. Let me go back into Aries here. 1 second. Okay, Mars, Aries. Okay. So you said you love traveling, right? Naturally,
Yes.
yeah, I can see that. Yeah, Jupiter is is in your first house. Um, I did not look at your the asteroids or the places in your chart. I can do that another time. But because it's Aries, somewhere where it's kind of fresh, springy sort of locations. I'm getting here places like England, Germany, Israel, France, especially Burgundy, Italy, especially Florence, Naples, and Padua, Poland, especially Krakow, Las Vegas, and Brunswick. Oh, Brunswick as in New Brunswick in Canada? I don't know. Places with sporting facilities. That kind of makes sense with your Leo placement there, but also in Jupiter, that can be sort of sporty. I don't know if you've ever considered yourself very athletic, but I wouldn't dismiss that at all. We didn't really talk about it.
Okay.
That's my point. Um, this is a funny one. Places formerly occupied by sheep, cattle, deer, thieves, lime kilns, or brickworks. Interesting. Newly cultivated land, sandy or hilly ground. That's the one that applies right now. Building with high ceilings and elaborate plasterwork. Stables. There's the horse thing that comes back. There's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. So,
Okay.
yeah, because it's in Aries, that's what it is. But yeah, it's funny how the ocean thing doesn't work. Hmm. But it is in the. You have your Sedna and in Taurus, but it's in the eighth house. You wouldn't mind living in a place that's hilly but high up in the ground, but also kind of close to a body of water, right? You wouldn't mind that, or are you kind of over that?
I,
Is it
no, I would be okay with that.
okay? Okay, but okay, that makes total sense. I feel like because of the places that I mentioned earlier, you do prefer because of your moon in Scorpio, and now it's now in Capricorn. You prefer the cold, don't you now? Even more than before, or kind
Well, I don't like heat.
of. Okay.
I hate heat.
Ah, okay, makes sense. Yep. Okay, so moderate temperature. That kind of makes sense. Yeah, the Libra as well. The placement. That totally makes sense. Yeah. So
Yeah.
somewhere moderate temperatures, like
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, yeah. We'll have to probably go through like an astrocartography reading later because you don't have that. You haven't had that opportunity yet. So, how much time do we have right now? So 11:22 for you. So are we okay for time?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine if you're not tired.
No, I'm not yet. I'll let you
Okay.
know. Okay. The one thing surprising that came to me right now here is I'm seeing your progress chart, and it's actually your sun is now The sun in astrology often represents the things that help us make the actual decisions we want to decide on. Because it's now progressed into Scorpio, even though your moon is in Capricorn and it's an earth sign, it's very stubborn too. But Scorpio is probably can be even more stubborn. But the thing about that is that you're very Scorpio is very like investigative energy, research. There's very much like
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pierce into the veil of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them here is you have an asteroid here conjunct your sun, and the asteroid is called Imhotep. I don't know if you've heard of this name before.
No.
He was an Egyptian advisor in Egypt for for the pharaohs. The movie The Mummy with Brandon Fraser
Yeah.
is that's not
Yeah.
that Imhotep is not like that. But
Okay.
he was a mystic. He was also into science. He was in psychology. He's into physioalchemy, so transmuting matter into the physical world.
Very cool.
Uh-huh. He was into divinity. He was a craftsman. He had inherited gifts. He has ascended abilities. He was a sage. He was an architect. He was into medicine, health, healing, astrology, astronomy, awareness of culture and structure. So physical, material, cosmic, mathematical, esoteric, alchemical structures. He had a lot of hidden facts and knowledge that he wanted to get into of the universe. So he was also an advisor, like a vizier is what they called. Also, he was a poet. He was a physician. So many things. Many
I
things.
like him.
Yeah. Um, that includes
Spell
mathematician.
that.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Will you spell that name for me again? I can write it down.
Imhotep. Imhotep. Imhotep.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So anything to do with that. So very innovative as well. He had natural talents. Again, architect, visions. So any gifts that you have that pertain to mysticism and all these stuff, mysticism, mysteries, all this stuff, right? Being connected, all that stuff. He was also a peacemaker, ties in with the Libra placement there.
Hmm.
Um, you could definitely go into that. Tying in with the
Okay.
therapy, there's something about that. I feel like it's tied to that. Because if it's tied to your sun, that means it's your hold on, you're the cusp of your 11th house, which is income, money from what we call the income from your boss. So in this case, you could be your own boss. Your mission, your midheaven is now in progressed into Cancer. Usually what that means it's going more towards yourself inside, working with your emotions, settling even more before it was in Taurus. When it progressed into Gemini, you were more into writing, possibly curious about information, all that stuff. But now it's progressed into Cancer. That means that you are more into settling down, working with your not only emotions but like your how do you call this? Not only your environment but also your auric field. There's something about magnetism, just this whole thing like this. Um, Keeping things, I guess you can say, at. I don't want to say that we're keeping things at bay, and that's not what I want to say. I want to say that it's um, what is this? Again, family, but not necessarily family. It's because your moon here is progressing into Capricorn. It's more about earthly family or the universe family. So here it's tied to that, and it's very interesting. It's 4 degrees. It's trying to Ixion Achilles Mercury Pele. So that means there's something about the healing we talked about, the whole research thing, the whole being tenacious and having learning from those mistakes and that kind of stuff we talked about, the hospitality stuff. Let me go into Pele. Pele was the Hawaiian goddess of fire. Okay. Something about fire. I know you don't like heat, I know, but maybe not necessarily fire itself. Maybe. Ooh, Hawaii. That's hot though. Mm. There's something about that because it's tied to the second house, and Pele is in the second house, which is um, money as freedom or the ability to make money. It's also tied to self worth because your sun is in the second house that has that Taurus feel to it as well. So even though you don't like heat, there can be a way around that. You don't necessarily have to go into heat to feel the heat. Have you heard of Wim Hof method?
Yes.
Do you do the Wim Hof method?
No, I do some breathing stuff,
Okay.
but not that. No.
Okay. I probably, if you want, give it a try. I'm not gonna force you, but it's worked for me. I love it. It's like right now it's cold. My hands are cold, and it's winter. It's -5 right now. -5, yeah. -5 Celsius. Sorry, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Uh, um, so it's can be cold here. The showers are starting to get cold, like freezing cold, and I love it. Um, but because when I get out of it, I feel warmer. You see the trick there? Because I'm literally facing the cold. That's what Wim Hof says. When you face the cold, you don't actually get a cold. Like you don't get cold and you don't get a cold, and it's worked for me. I haven't gotten a cold. I haven't gotten a flu for like years.
Oh, I was thinking it was a breathing. I
It's
thought
both.
Wim Hof was a
Yeah, yeah. It's
breath. Okay.
yeah. So the breathing part is you do the breathing part. So what that does is it alkalizes the blood, just like with yoga. It because your pH levels go up, it naturally helps your body heal faster. It's also a natural painkiller, but it also opens up the capillaries, so the veins, right? So after you do
Hmm.
the breathing, however many rounds you start with or whatever, it doesn't matter. You know you progress, right? So you go into the shower. When you start off, you can start with warm shower, and then go into cold, right? And your body will start to know what to do. When you listen to the body, your body will know what to do and be like, oh, okay, now I want it longer. Now I want it a little colder. Okay. And then you just get used to it. And then eventually you might progress into ice baths. I know that's scary, but you like the cold anyways. You're okay with the cold. So I think that's a good way to get warm as well without having to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
So, because I'm seeing here too, like I'm seeing Pele here, and she's about inflammation, right? Volcano. So if that's the case, then there might be something tied to that. Something tied to the therapy, tied to this all this. I mean, there's also a reason why you came to me for the reading, and it's like, okay, well, here you go. So maybe you never know, right?
I do deal with a lot of inflammation for
Ah,
sure.
there you go. Yeah. So yeah, and you'll see in if you go to the YouTube channel, there's the app, there's the YouTube channel, and then there's the website where they show um, what he does to journey. They're basically all the same kind of thing, but the app is to help you naturally. The YouTube videos is like testimonials. The website is where they show two universities that have done research on him and how it actually works. And it's not anything new. Cold cold therapies have been around for thousands of years. I would say probably maybe not thousands, but I'm not surprised it would be probably 1,000 years, maybe. I don't know. Yeah. So you never know. So
Okay.
yeah. So there's that. Okay, what was I saying here? Let me go back here. One second. Solar attraction. Okay, let's try going into what's happening now. Um, I'm looking at what's called the solar arc chart. So what it's going to probably show me is Hera. Let's go into Hera. Thank you for staying this long.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, where did that go? Oh, maybe I just go this. Nope, this. Okay, here we go. Have you been? Have you met someone with foster care, foster parents recently at work? Maybe
No,
any kind of.
no.
No. Okay, that's okay. No, that's fine. Trying to tie it to the second house here. Ah, this is where it is. Okay, so there's been delays with financial things.
No.
No, 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 no. That's okay. That's okay. Any judges or okay? I'm just gonna say all of them. Not all of them. That's
Oh, okay. Yes, there is a delay in I won a judgment in a lawsuit against a contractor,
okay.
and miracle of miracles, he has no money. So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
there's a, I'll probably never see it.
Oh. Okay.
It's an infinite delay.
Okay. Um. This is a weird one. Any sort of like competitive women that you met, come across?
I'm sorry, I asked, what's that again?
Competitive women.
What about them?
Have you come across them
Oh,
recently?
not often. Not anymore. Not as I get older, I don't get in those circles of
Okay,
people.
that makes sense. Okay.
But I certainly dealt with them in my small business.
Okay. 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 So there's some obstruction of stuff there, like with juries. I don't know. Some sort of like I don't know. It's tied to the second house, so against the delays, the trials, overdue pregnancy. Someone with overdue pregnancy. I don't know. Flood. Has there been flooding?
Yes.
Okay, it's been flood. Okay. People who are so-called insane, or someone from insane asylums, something to do with that, or psychiatric institutions,
Uh,
or did you go to a wedding, a long wedding? That's Hera. Sorry, I'm
how's
just
it?
reading.
I'm wondering how a wedding is tied to a psychiatric institution
No, I'm just
because I
reading.
do kind of put them together.
Okay, not gonna win. Oh, yeah, yeah. There's always a link. I know, surprisingly, there's some link to that. So, yeah, okay. Um, okay. Let's see here. There's also Anteros. Progressing into your second house. So, any any brotherly relationships, any brothers or children, deep friendships that you've made with someone.
I have a deep friendship with a male
Yeah.
that's like a brother.
Okay. Okay. Also maybe foreigners, maybe where it's a mutual relationship with others. Maybe that same person, but also international relationship. Someone who probably has an NGO, who owns an NGO or works at an NGO. Investments, maybe some bartering. I don't know, exchange of goods, gift exchange, treaties, taxes, non-payable grants, receipts, compensatory measures.
I
Um,
have a good. Did you did you say? I forget what you started this with. I'm sorry.
no,
What was the
no, it's okay.
question?
No, no, no. I'm just saying. I'm just reading what things that come to your life now.
Okay.
If they've been coming, I'm just trying to kind of also test it out and see what you got. So, because if there's a reason for that, they're not. I'm not just reading this for no reason. I'm feeling like there's some sort of connection between that and maybe suddenly coming into your life. Or maybe some of them might be even toxic, but mostly it's more about suddenly coming into your life or to your awareness. And they're kind of almost like they bring some sort of, I guess, some sort of challenge or so called like pain, and then you're meant to integrate that into your life and transform through that.
Okay.
That's my point.
And what was the description of the last one you were asking me about?
People who own like an NGO, non government organization, Investments, someone who invests, or I don't know if you, again, these are not you yourself, people coming into your life.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, I get you. I'll have to think about that.
it's okay.
I'm not thinking of anyone.
That's okay. It's okay. I mentioned treaties, taxes, non-repayable grants or receipts, or so on. Any sort of compensation. Mm, are you in an LTR, or sorry, long distance relationship?
No,
Oh, okay, that's fine. Because it's the second house. I'm just wondering. Okay, so
with friends, but not
that's
a
fine.
boy,
That's fine.
not a male or a partner.
That's fine. Um, Bonuses. Have you received any bonuses or gift receipts recently? Gifts also.
Um, yes, I have to cash in some of my mother's annuities every year.
Okay. Okay. Cool. There you go.
That's for,
Okay.
I don't know, some stupid tax law. It's a gift.
Okay. Sure. No problem. There's also the little things too, like for example, like any sort of retributive justice, sort of amnesty, any sort of tit for tat, eye for an eye sort of experience. Someone with that energy that have come into your life recently. Um, Rejection notices or letters, thank you letters also is part of that. Letter of confirmation, feedback letters. Uh, yeah, I'm just reading what I'm seeing here. So
Yeah,
okay.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking while you're reading.
Oh, okay. Sure, 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 sure. Oh, interesting. You have. Let me double check here. Jupiter. Go back to that one. So, Judge, you you've had some sort of um.
Yeah, I had I have a judgment against a contractor who took off with my money,
Okay,
but I won't. I'll probably never see the money. So
that's okay. Yeah. Well, we come in here with nothing, right? But easier said than done.
right,
I don't want to say anything like that.
yeah.
That's okay.
No, I don't hold out much hope. But yeah, there was a court and judgment and all of that. So
Okay. I'm seeing here because Jupiter is progressed in your solar arc chart into your third house. Someone or situation where um, I think someone probably maybe neighbors because it's the third house or siblings that are kind of. Let me see if there's any square to that. 20 degrees. Maybe like some sort of coworker, someone you work with, someone with regarding health that have come into your life, maybe as kind of a neighbor, not necessarily literal neighbor, um, that have kind of, in a way, made you question your sense of your prosperity, your sense of growth, your optimism, and all that kind of stuff. Um, Philosophical reasoning, aspirations, your visions, and all that kind of stuff, or rather, someone who challenges you in that regard.
yes,
Um,
I have someone that challenges me in that regard.
Also, someone who challenges you athletically when it comes to sports or even traveling to the point. Um, Maybe something to do with the law. Maybe they're also in. Maybe they tend to be philosophical, or maybe they have prophetic abilities, or you have your prophetic abilities, and they kind of question it, and it's kind of like, ugh, right? So, or someone who's very academic in universities. A foreigner could be part of this one as well. Um, Maybe someone who gambles does someone who gambles does things too much of something. Someone who's very preachy as well. Maybe an investor, a banker, a gambler, a pro gambler rather, a doctor, a bishop, minister, chancellor, an entertainer of some sort, mentor, or diet counselor. Um, those kind of stuff. Because it's tied to the sixth house and the 12th house. Someone, I don't know if this is you, maybe someone. I feel like this is someone. someone who has issues with their liver, thighs, hips, pancreas, pituitary gland, sciatic nerve, tumors, and someone who's overweight.
That's a lot.
Sorry, sorry, I just have to say it out there. It's in the recording. Um, yeah, it's anyone like that? Someone who has issues with their thighs, the sciatic
With
nerve,
all of those issues?
mainly from obesity or overweight, being overweight.
I'm overweight, but I'm surprisingly healthy.
Yeah.
But my sister's morbidly obese, and that's a lot of
Ah,
medical
see,
issues.
that's what's
But I
happening.
don't know if she
Okay.
has all of those issues that you
Okay.
listed.
Okay. That totally makes sense why the Jupiter's coming here because it's in the third house. It's also your siblings. That makes sense.
Uh,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
That totally makes sense. Okay.
That's also the one that's challenging my growth.
Knew it. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um. So someone who's also a healer has been coming into your life, right? Someone who is like a sort of a mentor or coach or teacher.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But someone also old. Someone also old age, very wise, at least very wise. They feel old. They feel like they're really wise. An elderly person, maybe a relative, because it's in Mercury. Oh, sorry, it's in Gemini. Could be a relative, but or probably through your siblings. Let me double check that. That's at 12, 8 degrees. Uh, no, no, I don't see that there. Hmm. Saturn is in your solar arc chart. It's progressed into your 10th house. Someone old too, yeah, or someone who's very traditional. That's also another possibility. Someone who's very kind of traditional, conservative. Um, the teacher thing is definitely a thing. They kind of create limits in your life too. These I'm talking about your 10th house, so that means it's like an old boss probably, maybe an old boss, an old employer.
Hmm. No.
Okay, all right, okay, that's fine. But
Mm,
the teacher definitely has come in. Someone who's a coach, a healer. That's
yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. Uh, okay. So I'm gonna skip that one because I feel like let's see where we have the transits here. I don't. Maybe you don't need that one. Do you have any more questions? Like I think I've gone through the nodes. Those are the most important ones, like where you're headed. If I haven't answered your actual question, like, or if you need to know more, let me know. Like, do you?
No, I think I'd love it if I could find some motivation, but you can't just hand that to me. So,
Ah, well, let's.
but you touched on a lot of things that have run across my mind, so at least I know that I'm not completely off base with the way that I'm thinking. I just need to just take the step. I need to take the action, and I'm having a hard time with that, but I'll get there.
Okay. I want to see if I can go into your natal chart with the progressions and see what I have here. Um, oh, so the Saturn one that's progressing back into your own Saturn. So that means taking things. I would say because you have Saturn retrograde in the ninth house. Um, it shows that there are limitations to long distance travel, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you obviously cannot travel. It just means that you have to look at what reasons you have for traveling.
Okay.
Your beliefs around that too are tied to that. Your Mars is the ruler of Aries is Mars. It's in Scorpio. In the progression itself, it's progressed into Capricorn. So that means that you kind of have to uh, in terms of, I wouldn't say that, I'm not assuming that you're not doing this. I'm just saying there's something about, there is caution tied to that. But caution doesn't necessarily mean that it's like, I'm not going to do it, right? Um, so have you been saving up for long distance travel? Do you feel like you've done
I
that?
Yeah, I have the funds if I choose to do long distance travel.
Okay, sure, cool. Because you said you really enjoy that, right? It actually ties in with your North Node. Your soul wants to do more, wants to conquer, it wants to go out there.
Yeah,
Aries
it
is a very,
does.
yeah, Aries is a very present sign. It's one of the ones that's, it's not like Leo, which Leo is the eternal child, but you have both. You have your natal ascendant in Leo, which is tied to Jupiter, which means that you do love traveling. You're just very curious about things. You're very like, I want to. It's very like the lion as well. It's very curious. It wants to conquer as well. It wants to be in charge, right? And then you also have your Aries North Node, very much in the energetic degree, of course, because it is, but um, have you ever thought about doing things incrementally instead of traveling per se? Because I feel like, hold on, let me double check this one. Your, oh, back then you would have been, you were probably more pushed to live in a foreign country, right? There was more of a pull back then, maybe a few years ago or several years ago.
Mm, No, no, never
No,
felt a pull to live in a foreign country.
really? Oh, interesting.
Uh-uh.
Okay.
No. I mean, the thought has crossed my mind, what would it be like? But I don't put any effort into it because it's a scary thought to do that
Yeah,
being single.
I can see. I can see.
If I had a partner, I would make a lot more risky decisions, but
Yeah.
being a single woman, I have to be careful with some things. So,
Okay. Well, okay. That's fine. That's totally fine. No, because I'm just wondering about that one because if you do travel, instead of traveling, think instead of losing the word concept of travel itself, like even long distance, you could do even within the United States, you can do like. Have you ever thought of because I feel like your mission, because it's tied to cancer, is something about also houses, something about properties. So have
well,
you ever?
that's interesting because I keep getting drawn to the van life, quote unquote, just renting out my house, and I'm thinking of doing it for like a year, renting out my house and buying a converted van and just traveling the United States.
Yeah, there
But
you go.
it's not fear that holds me back. It's that that type of life doesn't allow me to do the things that I like to do, which is gardening, homesteading, um, you know, uh, just I want to explore, but I want my home comfort. And so I'm just really, and again, it's the like
Ah,
big push to take that big step.
yeah.
And I don't do it. I used to be able to make these decisions and take these chances all the time. And I don't know if it's age or if it's loss of loved ones or just the world being so weird. I've just I've lost my adventure, and it's still there. I feel it, but I don't take the steps. So sorry, I got off track again.
No, no,
But
no, no.
yes,
That's not. It's
the
not off
fact
track at all. No, no.
you were saying the small incremental things, that's
Yeah,
exactly what it would be like
yeah,
driving around the United States
yeah.
and visiting state parks and landmarks
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. And the only thing that keeps me from doing it is just I'm afraid I would be bored.
You're afraid you would be bored.
Yeah,
Why?
I wouldn't be
Okay.
because I like being at home. I actually like cleaning. I like cooking.
Yeah.
Um
You like
I
things
love
pure.
being
Yeah, I know.
in yeah, I like home stuff.
Yeah.
And so there'll be no garden to tend, no flowers to clip, and no neighbors to talk to. And I'm very much a homebody. There's my Virgo energy.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
to be off and exploring sounds great, but it sounds like I would be a little bit depressed because I can't do the things that make me feel like I'm home and comfy and loved and secured and cared for.
Mm. So you want to feel stable, but also explorative to a certain point.
Exactly.
Yeah, that totally makes
Exactly.
sense. So
Mhm.
have you ever thought of, I don't know if they still do it today, but I don't know how you feel about, because there's several ideas. We can brainstorm several ideas, right? You have your Winnebago, you can have your camper van, you can have food truck. That's another part of the,
Yeah.
that's part of the cancer thing. It's food. So,
Yeah.
I mean, have you been working with a lot of herbs and spices and working with how to work with food, like really experimenting with that?
No, not that so much, but
Okay.
like preservation, canning and
Ah,
drying
so
and
ah,
um
okay. So maybe it's not
yeah.
necessarily a food truck, but like a, what do you call that? What's the business around canning and preserving? Like,
Yeah, I can't really think of the name of it,
but
but
yeah,
yes, I mean,
so there you go. Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because your birth chart, your Jupiter is there. You like traveling, but Jupiter is also about big business, right? So you have that in you. You have the actual acumen. You're being called to tap into that as well, where you don't necessarily have to get out of your comfort zone. You could also go into something where you have. I'm sure there's something where instead of having, maybe instead of you going into places, maybe you could use other people as, I guess you can say, sorry, the word leverage comes to mind, but what I mean resources, human resources. Bring use other people as your resources, um, and start like, do you have, start small, like not just in terms of moving itself, but like how can you rewire that belief about traveling in terms of like for example, I love languages. So um and I want to do it in a very natural way. I don't believe in the traditional method of like grammar, this, blah, blah, blah. But I've come to realize too that sometimes I do that every now and then to kind of as a means to an end. But once I let that go, once I've translated something, I just go like, okay, then I forget the translation. Now I have resources for myself where I have pictures. But then tied to that, um, I have this strong belief still today where it's like you don't necessarily have to travel to go to the country to experience the culture. You can make you bring the world to you. So in that regard, in that sort of, I don't know, kind of way of thinking, maybe there's a way to go about that where you can still bring the world to you for canning, for homesteading, that kind of stuff, where it's you're not necessarily leaving the comfort of your own home, or not even at all, but still bringing the world to you, and then start from there. So again, those little things that are
hmm
even probably even smaller than the little things that you perceive to be little, right? Because
yeah.
yeah, because one of the things I learned is that sometimes I question that too. It's like I didn't have motivation, but then when I realized I tapped back into what I was doing before, but this time allowing myself to be just completely creative and just having fun with it, and really trusting that thing inside where it's just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go do whatever I feel like doing right now, and seeing where, and then using the innovative abilities that I have, using the experimental tendencies that I have, research, and at the same time using that and then going and then letting it go and then letting the rest take over. So I'm using both. I'm integrating my abilities of what I have already with the new things that I've yet to encounter as I go along. If that makes sense,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah, that's
yeah. So I realized that it's like when I did that, I was just like, oh, I can go back to things I used to like. And I'm just doing it. And I'm not judging it. Even if I have no motivation, I'm just like, I'm not judging it. I'm just still going to do it. Then I realized I'm like, I still, okay. Motivation doesn't have to be to, a specific sort of like um, caliber. It doesn't have to be any of that stuff. It doesn't have to be grandiose. It doesn't have to be anything at all, even if it's small. Both, in fact, right? It can be grandiose. It can be small. It can be whatever it is. but I don't. I try not to ever judge it, and I make it a practice to, you know, little things too, like starting your day with gratitude. That's simple as, and really making it in practice by the little things like the oxygen, the air. Try this. Try this technique that I learned from. Again, let's not make it really about the technique, but Virgo likes techniques. um, where you have what you call a rampage of appreciation. It's by
Yes.
uh, uh, um, Gabriel Bernstein. He said, write down in your list, write down things you're grateful for. I am thankful for da 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 da. And you don't need to even say things why. You don't even need to say why. I know that The Secret said there's some other versions of The Secret that said you have to say why. You don't always have to do that. You can if you want to. It'll empower it. But then write down the things you're grateful for and just keep going, just keep going. And then drop the pen and then go into a meditative state and just like imagine things you're grateful for. Then go back to the writing and make sure that it's like it just flows, it flows, it flows, whatever it is. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Don't even stop. Just next thing you know, that when you need to stop or when you feel like it's like, okay, I think that's cool. Oh, then you look at your list and you're like, wow, so much. And make that a practice too, alongside. It's those little things that, I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, so
Yeah, gratitude is huge. I'm a
absolutely.
big gratitude proponent for sure.
Yeah. So those kind of things, right? So, yeah, because I mean, you do have that. You have the abilities to be tenacious and all that stuff. I think it's just there's that stubborn side of the Virgo that wants to get it to a certain degree. But again, remember, high
Yeah,
standards doesn't necessarily mean have to be high. You could just have a standard,
right.
and it doesn't matter. I think work on the rewording, reword what your beliefs are.
Okay.
So that's my thing. I would say, and start small.
Yeah.
Again, small, like tiny, teeny, teensy, tiny, and just keep going. You have your moon in
Okay.
Scorpio. You can keep going.
I love my Scorpio moon.
Yeah. You have like your sun is in Virgo in the second house, which also means you're also Taurus, very stubborn. And then you have your and then you have your moon in Scorpio in the fourth house, which also is a Cancer energy. So you're like super stubborn. You're very much that's why you're homebody. And that's okay. A homebody doesn't
I
necessarily
don't think I'm stubborn at all.
well, it come in different forms. It can come in different forms, but that's fine.
That's true. That's
And
true.
remember, stubborn doesn't necessarily have to be that way too, right? So again, finding the gifts in things. So yeah,
Yeah.
finding the gold in
This-
everything, especially the dark ones, things that the limiting beliefs, and twist those. Use the gift of language to reword that, and then find evidence for those beliefs that counteract the limiting beliefs, new beliefs,
yeah,
and then go through that, and then yeah, yeah.
that's great. That's amazing. You're amazing. This was
Thank
awesome.
you. Awesome. Okay, good. I'm glad that helped. I'm glad that. So,
Yeah, for sure.
all right. So I'm going to stop it here. The recording at least. And do you have any
Okay.
questions before I stop?
Um, Nothing that's jumping right out at me. No, you answered a lot of them.
Okay. Okay. Cool. I hope I did. Sometimes I.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
That was great. It was amazing how you picked up on a lot of. It's like I don't know. It's almost like psychic work, and I know it wasn't, but it kind of is. I'm sure you use your intuition with what the planets and progressions are telling you.
Yeah.
It's you picked up on a lot of stuff. That was cool.
Yeah. It's my I've been doing this research with the asteroids for several, about 2 years now, and it's really grown to the point where it's just like I've really slowed down with the research, but there's about 10 more coming, and these are just asteroids, and dwarf planets, and several centaurs. Astronomical terms, don't worry about it. It's all other bodily planets, planetary bodies, that is.
Hmm.
But there's also fixed stars. I've yet to do more research on that, but they tend to be short, I find. Fixed stars are more with what's called galactic astrology. Um, It's about like where you were in past lives. I don't know if you're into intergalactic stuff, like aliens, so to speak. Um,
No, I've tried to be, but there's so many rabbit holes. There's so many rabbit holes. I'm interested in so, just like I told you, interested in so many things and haven't quite made it to that yet, but
oh,
I
that's fine.
certainly am open to it.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, you never
Yeah.
know. I haven't seen your galactic chart, but I'm pretty sure that if um, there must have been something there, because let's see. I feel like there's something about your past lives tie. I believe your south node was conjunct what's called the Shapley attractor. I'm not sure. Even if it wasn't conjunct your south node, it's probably in your first house. I believe it's the double check here. Or maybe, hold on, let me double check. Maybe it was in your first house. That means that there's a part of you that can be highly magnetic and you don't even know you're doing it. If people just like,
Wow.
yeah, I don't know.
Wouldn't that
I'll have to
that's
double check.
lovely.
Yeah, the Shapley attractor is the biggest cluster of galaxies that's discovered today. It's huge. Like you know, so it's I have it. It's conjunct my sun, and but it's interesting. I tend to really draw in people who I actually connect with more, um, because I'm very private. I'm actually very private. I'm half half. I've become more introverted now. Although I used to be kind of 50-50 ish. But anyways, long story. Okay, cool. Well,
Same, same. I think as we evolve, as we spiritually grow, that we all tend to, I think, go within more. So
yes,
it's more of that introverted thing,
yes.
just because there's too many weird people out there
Well, that's
that we
true.
can't resonate with anymore.
That's true. Weird as in like just we don't resonate with. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. I shouldn't use the word weird, but
No, that's
people that
okay.
we don't resonate with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Well, yeah. So weird as in I guess they don't. Yeah, they're not vibrating at the same frequency as we are, and that's okay. That's they're in their own
Exactly.
journey, right? As
Yeah.
Dolores Cannon would say, it's like never, just judge or influence or change another person because you never know what path they're in their life
Right.
in their incarnation or reincarnation.
Right.
So yeah, and it's totally yeah. But of course, there's I can understand the Scorpio side of things, like strongly because it's like it's okay. I mean, my boyfriend, he gets critical. He has strong Virgo placements. He's a Leo, but he has strong Virgo placements, and he gets very critical. And I'm just like, so I don't judge him. I just said, okay, I'm just here. I just like, and he
Yeah.
just eventually realizes it too. It's just like okay, his moon is in Pisces. So he's very forgiving, but at the same time, so he kind of vents a little bit and then realizes, okay, well, that's not really, it's not really, expansive, right? But it's like, so I was like, that's fine, you know.
Yeah. Well, that him bringing himself to your level, especially when you don't react, because my sister, there's a lot of people in my life like that. My sister especially is like that. She goes off on a tangent about thing, and I just stay quiet. It's like eventually she can feel my energy, and it brings her,
Absolutely,
yeah, it
absolutely,
brings her back to a more level place.
yes,
So we're doing what we're supposed to do.
exactly. Awesome. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, so I hope that was helpful. That was a very informative. There's a lot. Probably, if you went through the whole thing, good for you. If you have any comments, questions, write down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. I'm always willing to make time for things like these. Um, of course, I'll be starting to putting on links below. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but if you are curious, let me know. I just want to make sure I'm engaging with people who are interested in this. So if you want a reading, let me know. I think I'll start linking my website in here So you, yeah, no, I would say, yeah, I'm going to start linking something else. So look for things that I'll be linking to the posts and videos. But in any case, thank you for watching again. Hope to see you guys again. Subscribe if you like this. Thank you so much. That was a little confusing. It's quite early in the morning here for me. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye.